Moving on to the human hand. Throughout the ages in the arts, the hand is frequently being considered one of the most difficult and challenging things to draw, paint, and sculpt. I find that if you have a really good basic understanding of anatomical structure and proportion, the hand is, while it will always be a challenge, it is definitely something that is very fun and can be a very rewarding aspect of the human body to draw. It's filled with emotion and expression and can constantly be changing, and it's infinitely enjoyable for me. What we're going to talk about now is the osteology of the human hand, the bone structure of the human hand. In general, just a quick overview, we have the radius, we have the ulna, we have the carpals, we have the metacarpals, and then down below are the phalanges. Each of the fingers is known as digits. The thumb here would be digit number 1, the pointer finger would be digit number 2, the middle finger would be digit number 3, the ring finger is digit number 4, and our pinky is digit number 5. Just to go over some of the points of articulation I'd like to point out today, we'll begin with the radius, and this section up here, the radius, is known as the styloid process of the radius. This little section here is known as the styloid process of the ulna, and it forms our wrist that wraps around our carpals. Now dropping down to the carpals, we have a total of 8 carpals, 7 of which can be seen from the posterior view. So the back side of the hand is known as the posterior view and also is referred to as dorsal view. So we can see 7 of the carpals from the back. There's one carpal that you can generally see only from the anterior view. Going over each of the carpals very quickly, this is the trapezium. Right next to it we have the trapezoid. In the back here we have the scaphoid bone, then the capitate, the hamate, the lunate, and on this side is the tricutrell. So those are the carpals, 7 of which can be seen from the posterior view of the hand. The next row of bones that we have in here are the metacarpals. We have metacarpal 1, metacarpal 2, metacarpal 3, metacarpal 4, and metacarpal 5. Staying here with the digit number 1, we have metacarpal 1, then we have the proximal bone of the phalanges, and we have the distal phalange bone. We are, the thumb is an opposable thumb, and the thumb is missing the medial phalange. It does not have the medial phalange. Moving to the pointer finger, we have the proximal, we have the medial, and down here we have the distal phalange. In our middle finger, we have the proximal phalange, the medial phalange, and the distal phalange. In digit number 4, we have the proximal, medial, and distal phalange, and this is our ring finger. In the pinky, which is digit number 5, we have the proximal, medial, and distal phalange. Something that I like to keep in mind to remember when thinking of the order of the bones and the names of the phalanges in particular is if my hand is extended pointing away, the most approximate bone, phalange bone, to me would be the proximal phalange. The one that would be furthest away, off in the distance, would be the distal phalange, and then the middle phalange would be the medial phalange. So again, we have the proximal, medial, and distal, and each of these 4 digits, digit 2, 3, 4, and 5, the digit number 1, the thumb, the opposable thumb, is missing the medial phalange. So in total, we have 8 carpals, we have 5 metacarpals, and we have 14 phalanges, giving us 27 bones in the hand. If we combine both our hands, we have 54 bones in our 2 hands, and no one knows for sure the exact number because there's variation, but typically There's somewhere around 206 to 213 bones in an adult human body, excluding a number of the sesamoid bones. And so if 54 bones just in our hands can be found in the human body, you can see it takes up a huge portion of the bones of the human body. We also have 52 bones in our feet. So the majority of bones that can be found in the human body are found in our hands and in our feet. So we have the radius again, the ulna, we have the 8 carpals, 7 of which can be seen from the posterior view. We have the 5 metacarpals, and then we have the 14 phalanges. So that is the posterior and or referred to as the dorsal view of the hand. This is the anterior view of the human hand. At the top here we have the radius, we have the ulna, we have the 8 carpal bones, we have 5 metacarpal bones, and then we have 14 phalanges. The thumb that we have right here is also known as digit number 1. The pointer finger in here is also known as digit number 2. The middle finger is digit number 3. The ring finger is digit number 4, and the pinky is digit number 5. So we have metacarpal 1, metacarpal 2, metacarpal 3, metacarpal 4, metacarpal 5, and so forth. Going over each of the carpal bones here, there are 8 carpal bones. We can see all 8 carpal bones from the anterior view. We can only see, as a reminder, we can only see 7 from the posterior view. This bone that we see right here closest to our thumb, this is the trapezium. The bone that's in the back here, which is closest to the radius, this is the scaphoid bone, is the trapezoid. The bone closest to the middle finger is the capitate. The bone here closest to our pinky and also the ring finger is the hamate. The bone that we cannot see from the back that we can now see from here, this is the pisiform bone. And right beneath that is the tricotrel. And then lastly, this bone that we have up in here is the lunate. So those are the 8 carpals. All 8 carpals can be seen from the palmar view. So now we move down here into the thumb. And remember, this is an opposable thumb. We have metacarpal number 1. And then we have, after that, the phalanges. We have the proximal phalange. And we have the distal phalange. The thumb is missing the medial phalange. The pointer finger, we have the proximal phalange, the medial, and the distal. In the middle finger, again, we have proximal, medial, distal. In the ring finger, we have proximal, medial, distal. In the pinky, we have the proximal, medial, and distal phalange. Again, I find it helpful to think if the hand is extended out in front of you, pointing away, the phalange that is closest to you is the most approximate and is known as the proximal phalange. The one that is furthest away, off in the distance, is the distal phalange. So we have the proximal, and this is the distal, and then the one that falls in between the two is the medial phalange. So we have the proximal, medial, and distal phalange. So this is the opposable thumb again. That is digit number 1. Pointer finger is digit number 2. Middle finger is digit number 3. Ring finger is digit number 4. And then the pinky is digit number 5. We have a total of 27 bones in our hand. And we have, if you combine both hands together, we have a total of 54 bones in our hands. I hope you find this helpful. Drawing the human hand is definitely challenging, but it can be a lifelong love, and stick with it and you'll be soon to master the art of drawing hands. This is the anterior view, the palmar view of the hand.